In this video, I'm going to talk about the first part of the Organized Religion Ancient Egypt assignment. In this assignment, your goal is to explain what role did religion play in ancient Egyptian civilization, meaning how did religion and their religious beliefs become a part of their everyday life in ancient Egypt. There's a few standards here. The first one is the social studies related one. I'm talking about different parts and experiences in history using different sources. And then there are a few ELA standards because there is going to be a little bit of reading and writing involved in this assignment. So the first part of this assignment is to write a paragraph summarizing ancient Egypt's gods and religious practices. Use specific examples of gods and rituals as evidence. In the box up here, it talks about some of the things I am expecting out of a good paragraph. You're going to start by restating, giving a topic sentence that uses some of these keywords from the prompt. So you might talk about ancient Egypt's gods and religious practices in your first sentence. Then you're going to provide some evidence in your paragraph. So tell me about what the ancient Egyptians believed. Tell me what types of gods and goddesses they believed in. Maybe you give an example of one of the gods as a piece of evidence. And the rituals, this means like what kind of things did they do based on their belief. You could talk about mummification. You could talk about how they respected the pharaoh because they thought he was one of the gods. So those are some of the types of things that I'm looking for as the rituals or the religious practices. That's what I mean. And then a closing sentence at the end. So this paragraph would probably be approximately 5 sentences that include your topic sentence, a closing sentence, and then a few sentences there in the middle to provide your answer and evidence. To find your evidence, to find some details to include in your information in this paragraph, I would encourage you to use the notes from class, or if you haven't taken notes yet, you can use mine. These come from My World History, our social studies book, and we took a few notes in class after reading this about their religious beliefs and their religious practices. You could also use the other page that I've given you called Values and Beliefs. This comes from the book called Life in Ancient Egypt. And by reading these 2 pages, you have another source of information to help tell you more about what the Egyptians did as part of their religious beliefs. So maybe you want to talk something about the temples and monuments. You have a paragraph over here about temples and monuments that you can use for some information. It's up to you if you want to choose to use a quote. If you do use a quote, please make sure you use quotation marks and you cite your source. If you do not use a quote, that means you're using your own words as you're writing for your paragraph. It's not something that you can just copy and paste one of the paragraphs from one of these 2 books and call it your own. Okay, it has to be in your own words. And that's going to be part 1 of this assignment. You will need to cite your sources, so if you use anything beyond the 2 sources that are either this book or the social studies book, please make sure you save those sources because later you will have to cite them.